Welcome to R. A Myth the Devil, where Reddit's worst come to ask, wait, am I the problem? Today's story brings us to a high school hallway, one loud prank and one broken bone. The post is titled, Am I the Devil for Breaking a Girl's Arm During a Prank? Yup, you read that right. A 17-year-old boy pulls what he thinks is a harmless joke, and it ends with a classmate in the hospital. But is it really just a prank gone wrong? Or is there something a little more sinister beneath the surface? The OP swears it was an accident, a joke, a heat-of-the-moment slip. But as you'll soon see, this wasn't a harmless prank. It was a moment of reckless stupidity, maybe even cruelty, disguised as teenage humor. So the question is, did he mean to hurt her? Or did he just refuse to think about the consequences? One thing's for sure, the girl didn't see it coming. Let's dive into the post and you decide for yourself. OP17M describes himself as the class clown. He's loud, impulsive, and constantly chasing laughs. The kind of guy who does outrageous things just to get attention. He says he's known for pulling jokes. And in his words, people expect me to go too far. It's kind of my brand. At his school, being funny gets you attention. Popularity isn't about grades. It's about doing something wild enough that everyone talks about it the next day. That's what OP thrives on. His reputation is built on shocking people, not being kind. Prank culture is huge at his school, especially during April Fool's Week, where chaos basically becomes a sport. Swapped lockers, fake notes to teachers, stink bombs in the gym. It's all part of the atmosphere. The teachers roll their eyes and the students egg each other on. And OP, he feeds off the peer pressure. He's always looking to level up, to do the next outrageous thing that no one else would dare. He's not evil, he insists, just committed to the bit. But there's a difference between a harmless joke and real harm. And as you'll soon see, OP's inability to tell the difference is exactly what got him into trouble. Her name is Allie, 16F. She's quiet, bookish, always sitting in the back corner of the class with her headphones in and a paperback in her hands. She's not mean, just private. The kind of student who doesn't laugh at dumb jokes or participate in classroom chaos. To OP, that made her a perfect target. In his words, she was so serious all the time. Never smiled, never laughed. I thought maybe if something funny happened to her, she'd finally loosen up. He didn't hate her. He didn't even know her. He just didn't understand her, and didn't care to. To OP, Allie was a buzzkill. No sense of humor, kills the vibe, too fragile to take a joke. He said it like it was fact, not opinion. And while he didn't say it directly, you could tell he thought she deserved to be the butt of the joke. What OP didn't understand, or refused to see, was that Allie wasn't fragile. She was just quiet. And the only thing funny about what happened next was how quickly his joke turned into something that changed both of their lives. Let me know when you're ready for the next sections of the outline, and I'll continue with exact word counts. April Fool's Day was coming up, and OP was hyped. He and his friends had been tossing around ideas for days, determined to top whatever they pulled off last year. Someone suggested filling the teacher's office with balloons. Another wanted to rig the cafeteria speakers with fart noises. But OP wanted something more personal. He didn't just want laughs. He wanted a reaction. Something big. Something unforgettable. That's when he thought of Allie. She's so uptight, he told his friends. She needs to learn how to laugh. They laughed too. Not because the idea was funny, But because the idea of Allie being pranked was just unexpected enough to be entertaining, OP framed it as harmless. He wasn't going to humiliate her, just mess with her a little, loosen her up, maybe get her to finally crack a smile. That's all. He came up with a plan. Fake trip in front of her near her locker, grab her arm for support, and then fall dramatically. Slapstick, harmless, quick. Maybe she'd even think it was funny. That's what he told himself. But the truth, he wasn't thinking about Allie at all. He was thinking about the audience. The hallway would be packed. If it landed well, he'd be a legend for the day. The tension builds now. You, the reader, already sense it. This isn't going to end with laughs. Something's off. And when someone tries to use physical contact to get attention, the line between joke and assault gets dangerously thin. It happened during the morning rush. The hallway was packed, noisy, the perfect stage. Allie stood by her locker, earbuds in, eyes down. Just like always, she didn't even notice OP walking up from behind. He glanced over his shoulder. His friends were watching. He gave a little smirk. Showtime. He picked up his pace, then stumbled forward in an exaggerated fall. At the same time, he reached out and grabbed Allie's arm. Hard. Too hard. She turned just as he yanked her, trying to catch himself, but the momentum was off. Her body twisted unnaturally. There was a snap. Sharp. Unmistakable. Then came the scream. It wasn't a startled yelp. It was a full-on, agonizing, gut-wrenching scream that cut through the chaos of the hallway like a siren. Students turned. A phone dropped. Someone gasped. Allie hit the ground clutching her arm, which now hung limp and twisted at the elbow in a way it absolutely shouldn't. People froze. OP looked down, wide-eyed, but not with horror. He laughed. It was nervous, awkward, like he couldn't process what had just happened. "Yo, I didn't mean," he started, but no one was listening. Someone yelled for a teacher. Another kid was already dialing 911. Blood drained from faces. Allie sobbed on the floor, shaking. A teacher ran in and knelt beside her, eyes darting to the arm and then to OP, whose smirk was quickly vanishing. It was supposed to be a joke. That was what he kept saying in his head. Just a joke. But there was nothing funny about the way she was crying, or the way the paramedics arrived minutes later with a stretcher. Nothing funny about how fast the hallway went from chaotic to silent. And in that silence, something shifted. A line had been crossed, and there was no going back. The principal was called within minutes. The nurse, 2 teachers, and the vice principal all showed up before Allie had even been moved. Her cries echoed down the hallway as the paramedics carefully lifted her onto the stretcher. OP stood frozen. He wasn't crying. He wasn't apologizing. He was still trying to figure out how everything had gone so wrong, so fast. He told the teachers it was a prank. "I didn't mean to hurt her," he repeated. "It was just supposed to be funny." No one was laughing. The teachers didn't yell. They didn't need to. The look on their faces, pure disappointment and quiet fury, said enough. They escorted OP to the front office and told him to wait. His parents were being called. Word spread through the school like wildfire. Some students were furious. Others were just stunned. A few of OP's friends distanced themselves immediately. "Dude, that wasn't cool," one of them whispered in passing. "That was messed up." Meanwhile, Allie was taken to the hospital. The news reached her parents fast. They demanded a full incident report and threatened legal action on the spot. When OP's parents arrived, they didn't yell either. His mom looked like she'd been crying. His dad didn't speak for several minutes. Then, What the hell were you thinking? For the first time, OP felt something different. Not embarrassment, not confusion. Fear, real fear. Because suddenly, this wasn't about jokes or pranks anymore. It was about what happens when a teenager crosses a line you can't uncross. After everything, OP sat down with his parents and tried to explain himself. It was just a joke, he said, like that simple phrase could wipe away the chaos. I didn't mean to hurt Allie. She totally overreacted. I mean, she's kind of fragile, right? Always acting like the world's against her. He shrugged, showing no real remorse. In his mind, the pain Allie felt wasn't as important as the fact that he hadn't intended any harm. If it was an accident, why is everyone treating me like a criminal? He asked, voice defensive, almost like a victim himself. There was no apology, no, I'm sorry. Just a stubborn refusal to see past his own perspective. He blamed Allie for being too sensitive, and his classmates for not understanding the joke. He repeated again and again that he was just trying to be funny, to make people laugh, to get noticed. His parents exchanged worried looks. They could tell their son was trying to protect himself, but the truth was staring him in the face, and he wasn't ready to accept it. He talked about how he just wanted to be liked, to be seen as the funny guy in school, but he didn't realize the damage his actions caused. Instead, OP doubled down on his defense, using "I didn't mean it" like armor. But intention didn't erase injury, and the people around him saw that clearly, even if he refused to. The school acted quickly. OP was suspended for 2 weeks. The news spread like wildfire. Friends he thought were loyal suddenly crossed the hall away from him. Whispers and rumors filled the air, painting OP as a bully, a careless jerk, a danger. He used to be popular, the life of the party. Now he was isolated, sitting alone at lunch, feeling the heavy weight of social rejection. The prank had backfired, not only injuring Allie, but also crushing his own reputation. Teachers were stricter around him. Some students avoided eye contact. The hallway was no longer his stage. Meanwhile, Allie's parents were furious. They weren't just demanding apologies. They were seriously considering legal action. The possibility of charges for assault loomed, adding real fear to OP's growing sense of loneliness. For the first time, OP felt regret. Maybe it wasn't just about getting attention anymore. Maybe he'd gone too far. Or maybe it was just fear. Fear of consequences, fear of losing everything he cared about. Either way, the prank that was supposed to be funny had turned into a nightmare, and OP was trapped inside it, wondering how things could have gone so wrong. The story of OP's prank soon made its way online, including on the subreddit r/a-myth-a-devil, where people share stories of questionable behavior and ask for judgment. The comments didn't go easy on him. How is just a joke an excuse for breaking someone's arm? This kid needs to learn accountability. U/truthseeker91. Fragile or not, you don't grab someone's arm and cause injury. That's assault, plain and simple. U/justice. For Allie, OP seems clueless about empathy. Intent doesn't erase impact. U/empathy matters. Everyone saying this was just a prank needs to wake up. There's a difference between funny and dangerous. Yay, Real Talk 101. Some users sympathized with OP's need for attention but condemned his methods. I get wanting to be liked, but there are better ways than hurting someone. U/sensible. Sue. The contrast was clear. OP's defense that it was a joke didn't hold up against the reality others saw. Online strangers could see the line OP crossed, even if he couldn't. The moral clarity was sharp. What OP thought was harmless fun was, for everyone else, an example of recklessness and a warning about how bad things can get when you ignore consequences. A few days after the online storm, OP posted an emotional update on Reddit. His tone was confused and bitter, clearly feeling like a victim caught in a situation he didn't fully understand. "I apologized to Allie already," he wrote, "but she's still angry and won't even look at me. I don't get it. I thought she'd forgive me after a while. It was just a prank." He went on to complain about the school's overreaction, calling the suspension unfair and saying everyone was acting like he was some kind of monster. "I'm not a bad person. I was just trying to be funny. If people can't handle a joke, maybe the problem isn't me," he said bitterly. He admitted he felt lonely now, with friends avoiding him and teachers watching his every move. Yet he didn't seem to grasp how serious his actions were or the pain he caused Allie. The post ended with a resigned sigh. "I guess I'll just keep my jokes to myself now. Maybe that's better anyway." His words revealed someone still struggling to see the harm behind his jokes, stuck between anger, regret, and confusion about where it all went wrong. Looking at the full story, OP isn't just the devil for breaking Allie's arm. He's dangerously unaware of the real damage he caused. What started as a prank turned into a painful lesson about crossing boundaries no one should cross. Violence disguised as humor has a high cost. For Allie, this wasn't a funny lesson or some rite of passage. It was an injury that changed her day, her school life, and her trust in others. She didn't sign up for pain or fear. She just wanted to exist in peace, to learn, and to be herself without ridicule or harm. OP's failure isn't just the physical act, but the complete lack of empathy. He didn't see Allie as a person, only as a target for his need to be noticed and funny. His repeated excuses, "It was a joke," "She overreacted," reveal a boy trapped in his own world, blind to how serious his actions really are. This story is a wake-up call. It shows how easily pranks can cross the line, how important it is to understand others' feelings, and how dangerous it is to ignore the impact of your actions. Maybe, just maybe, OP is starting to get it. The path ahead won't be easy, but it's a chance for him to learn, grow, and become someone who can make people laugh without hurting them. That's the real change we want to see.